In this second week of Advent, looking at the upside down kingdom that we're waiting for, which is so different to the kingdoms that we see in the world around us. This week, we're looking specifically at how the king of the upside down kingdom made himself small, made himself dependent, made himself vulnerable. And this is in such stark contrast to the world around us, where we see those that are in power, those that are the head of their kingdoms, using their power to bulldoze on ahead, to get everything that they can for themselves or for their people group or for their nation, and using that power to gain what they want. And in contrast to this, Jesus came and made himself small, even though he was God, the creator of the whole universe, incredibly powerful, more powerful than any other king. And yet he made himself small. He gave all of that up. He became totally dependent on his mother in the womb. Such a vulnerable position to put yourself in. Pregnancy and everything associated with that is such a vulnerable time. And yet he chose to do that, and then was totally dependent on Mary and Joseph. And this is such a contrast to our world. It blows my mind because I value independence. I value being able to do everything, to not be a burden on people. And our society values that. It's a good thing if you're independent, if you can get everything done, if you can not be a burden or dependent on anyone else. And yet we see what this leads to divisions, to fighting, to loneliness. As we try and be so independent, we end up cutting off our relationships with others, and we lose that sense of community, and we end up with an epidemic of loneliness. And the king of the upside down kingdom is so different to that. He instead showed what he valued by making himself totally dependent, because what he valued was being able to make possible that vulnerable, intimate relationship. That is what he values. And when you think of relationships where you've gone deeper, where you're close, they're relationships of vulnerability, where there's give and take, where there's a dependency, where we make ourselves vulnerable so that if that person isn't there, we lose out. And our God chose to make himself dependent, to make himself vulnerable, to make himself small and weak, because what he valued most was that relationship. And I wonder whether, as we reflect this Advent on the upside down kingdom, on how it places value on the small and the weak, how it places value on interdependence and relationship and community, whether we're willing to make ourselves vulnerable, whether we're willing to set aside our sort of violent independence to make space for relationship with those around us, to allow ourselves to be dependent and vulnerable with those around us, but also with God. Are we willing to let go of our control and be dependent on him, be vulnerable with him? Because that is what he would love most. That is why he made himself small and weak and vulnerable. That is why he came as a human being, to make possible this relationship. Will we do our part in that? Will we respond to that? Will we be vulnerable this Christmas and depend on him?